In August 2019, an unprofitable office rental company revealed a valuation higher than SpaceX, Marriott, or Ford, despite losing over $5 million every single day. Wework didn't build software, own patented technology, or discover a new sector. It rented commercial floor space, renovated it with hip lighting and espresso machines, and subleased individual desks to freelancers and tech startups. To Wall Street and Silicon Valley, however, the company was pitched not as a traditional landlord, but as a revolutionary space-as-a-service platform capable of elevating the world's consciousness. At the center of that illusion stood one man whose charisma turned routine real estate into a $47 billion religion. Before Wework, Neumann had already tried and failed at something similar. In 2006, he and his wife Rebecca launched Crawlers, a line of baby clothes with built-in knee pads for crawling infants. The venture brought in $2 million in sales against $3 million in expenses, and folded. Adam Neumann, a charismatic Israeli entrepreneur, co-founded Wework in New York City in 2010 alongside designer Miguel McKelvey. Neumann was over 6 feet tall, walked barefoot around the office, and spoke with the unshakable confidence of a spiritual leader. He didn't promise cheap desk space. He promised community, belonging, and a global revolution in how humans interact. The culture inside Wework mirrored its founder. Employees worked 80-hour weeks fueled by mandatory tequila shots at company-wide meetings, summer camps with thousands of staff, and relentless internal slogans urging everyone to do what you love. Rebecca Neumann, Adam's wife and Wework's co-founder, reportedly had staff dismissed within minutes of meeting them if she disliked their energy, including a mechanic who serviced the company's private jet. While traditional real estate companies traded at modest valuations based on actual rent revenue, Neumann convinced investors to value Wework like a hyper-scaling tech giant. No one enabled Neumann's vision more than Masayoshi Son, the billionaire chief executive of SoftBank and manager of the $100 billion Vision Fund. In December 2016, after a rushed 12-minute tour of a Wework location in New York, cut short because he was running late for a meeting with President-elect Trump, Son wrote Neumann a check for over $4 billion. As the story goes, Son looked at Neumann and told him he wasn't being crazy enough. With SoftBank's massive capital backing, Wework went on an aggressive global expansion spree, signing long-term 20-year leases on commercial buildings at top-of-the-market prices worldwide. By early 2019, SoftBank's continuous capital injections pushed Wework's paper valuation to a staggering $47 billion, making it the most valuable private startup in the United States. Behind the glowing press coverage and hip office aesthetics, Neumann was quietly running Wework as his personal piggy bank. He used company funds to purchase a $60 million Gulfstream private jet, bought expensive residences across the country, and invested millions in pet projects, including a wave pool company and a private school called WeGrow. Even worse, Neumann began buying commercial real estate personally, then leasing those exact buildings back to Wework, collecting rent from the company he ran. In one of the most egregious moves in corporate history, Neumann registered the trademark for the word "we" under his personal entity, and then charged Wework nearly $6 million to buy the rights to its own name. The excess extended to the air. On at least one transatlantic flight aboard the company's private jet, marijuana smoke filled the cabin so thickly that crew members put on oxygen masks. On a separate return flight from Israel, the plane's owner recalled the jet entirely after crew reportedly found marijuana stashed inside a cereal box, leaving Neumann to arrange his own way home. Before the IPO had even happened, Neumann had already cashed out more than $700 million of his own stake through a combination of stock sales and loans secured against his shares, an unusual move for a founder who was still telling investors the company's best growth was ahead of it. In August 2019, Wework publicly filed its prospectus, known as the S-1, preparing to sell shares on the public stock market through an IPO. For the first time, Wall Street analysts and institutional investors looked behind the curtain and saw the actual numbers instead of Neumann's marketing pitch. The documents revealed that in 2018, Wework generated $1.8 billion in revenue, but lost $1.9 billion. The company had locked itself into $47 billion in long-term lease obligations while relying on short-term memberships that users could cancel at any month. The S-1 also laid bare Neumann's extensive self-dealing and bizarre corporate governance rules, including a provision giving his wife the authority to name his successor if he died. The public reaction was immediate and brutal. Within weeks, investors refused to buy shares at the $47 billion figure, and the proposed IPO valuation plummeted to under $15 billion, then $10, before being scrapped entirely. Without an infusion of public capital from an IPO, Wework faced a severe liquidity crisis and was weeks away from running completely out of cash. To save its own massive investment, SoftBank stepped in to execute a bailout package in October 2019. Part of the deal required Neumann to step down as chief executive and give up his voting control. To get Neumann to leave, SoftBank agreed to pay him a payout package estimated at nearly $1.7 billion in stock buybacks, consulting fees, and credit lines. In November 2023, just 4 years after being valued at $47 billion, Wework officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, wiping out equity investors and leaving commercial landlords holding billions in broken leases. The company didn't collapse because flexible office space was a bad idea. It collapsed because the venture capital system rewarded hype over profit and allowed a charismatic founder to burn billions without basic oversight. 4 years earlier, in the first wave of cuts alone, Wework had already laid off 2,400 employees, 19% of its workforce, to survive the fallout from Neumann's exit. Thousands of rank-and-file employees lost their jobs and their worthless stock options, while the man who drove the startup into the ground walked away with a payout package worth close to $1.7 billion. SoftBank, the company that made Neumann's vision possible, ended up pouring roughly $16 billion into Wework over the years. It lost about $14 billion of it,